So we're talking about planning professional learning, and sort of what goes into it, and acknowledging how difficult it can be to actually plan and deliver professional development, especially when you're sort of expected to lead some learning in your buildings. I think there's a lot more that goes into it. I'm just going to share my process and what I think is logical and what works for me, and perhaps there are some tips in here that might work for some other folks too. The first thing is getting clear on the purpose of the professional development, and I think that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of reflection. It probably takes a lot of what I like to call surveying, right? So I think it's getting clear on the purpose of the professional development, then moving to this idea of surveying people to get an understanding of where people are in their practice and what do they actually want to engage with in their learning to make it most meaningful. So my process was to get clear on those two things first. The second part of this is just acknowledging my own process. I know for me personally, I acknowledge that fear exists for me to actually get up and lead professional development. I know that it starts probably somewhere in the middle for me. It's not so much in the beginning of the planning phase. I can get clear on the vision, the purpose. I can survey the people. I'm pretty good in those moments. It's when I actually get down to the planning and you have that moment of being completely overwhelmed with there's so much to synthesize and put together that you're not sure if you're going down the rabbit hole or if you're actually making sense for the learning you're expected to lead. So staying above or synthesizing the importance of the information, I think, is a critical element for me personally. And it's about that middle process when I'm doing that, when I'm actually committing to these are the ideas I'm going with, and this is the path that I think is best for the outcomes that we're after. And also being clear and understanding that you may have a different outcome. You can't predict everything that happens in professional learning, and just acknowledging that that exists and that it may take you down a path that you're not necessarily prepared for in your planning phase, but you acknowledge may exist during the actual learning itself. I think being flexible is key there. So when I actually sit down and synthesize the information, which I did yesterday, and leading this professional development on a Friday before a break, which is not ideal for complete learning conditions, but I think we'll be able to pull it off, because one of the things that I hope rings true in this professional development or this learning that I'm leading is I'm being my most authentic, true self with what I think is important, and I'm trying to make it as interactive as possible. So we'll take a quick break here, and I'll show you sort of what I've come up with and where I am with this process now. And as we move forward, or in another video here, I'm going to show you like moments before I go on, and then hopefully show you some reflections that I have afterwards of this professional development.